Greetings! Welcome to the Week 7 Early Access Update for Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. Start off as always with a sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So we've got a whole bunch of new toys this week for you. We're going to start out. We've got two new submachine guns, an MP5A2 and a UMP45. So let's take a look at how these work. These are both built on my new unified closed bolt receiver system, which should hopefully make the process of bringing new SMGs and auto rifles into the world a little bit easier. We'll start with the UMP here. This functions as you might expect with the M4 in that we have a firing selector on the left side of the touchpad, and we can go between safe, single, two-shot burst, and full on. Awesome. To extract the mag out of these, because as you can see, these have a mag latch in front of the mag versus back near the handle, we don't have a mag release button. Instead, you have to grab the magazine. You'll feel the haptic pulse when your hand goes over the interaction zone, and then click the touchpad, which will allow you to pull the magazine out, and then we can insert a new one. So the UMP, the bolt locks open after the last shot, so all we have to do is hit either the bolt release or we can rack the charging handle. So I'll do that with the charging handle here. Second fire. I'm gonna empty this again. Pull that out. Put it in, and we can also just tap the bolt release. There. Also fold the stock up if you feel like it. So yeah, let's throw that over there. We've got the MP5, spawn lock our magazine. And this is true of the UMP as well. With the charging handle here, we can actually, once we've pulled it back, lock it up into a 45-degree position, locking the bolt back. Now I actually have a magazine in here, so it's ready to be chambered, so I can give it the HK slap to send it forward. Put that on full auto. And then to reload it, I'm going to grab the charging handle, rotate it up, pull the magazine out, pop a new one in, slap it down. Wonderful. Now you may notice a few of the firearms that are out here initially are missing, and the reason for this is that we finally have a little ugly but functional object spawning device. So we can pick the category of what we want. In this case, I want to get my revolver back. So I'm going to hit pistols here. Starts there. We can hit forward and back arrows to choose between items in the category, and then the plus sign to spawn them. Wonderful. So we've got a revolver. Let's get rid of that mag. And then I can show you our magazines category, something that has been endlessly requested. A 44 mag Speedloader. So let's grab that, spawn lock it, come back to our range. The way this works is that the rounds loaded into the Speedloader are actually physical, so you do have to line them up with the cylinder. You basically want to catch one or two in, and then just press it forward, and that will load them all into the cylinder. Dump that out. Grab another. Boom. Excellent. So hopefully that should both make it more convenient for those of you who are just plinking, as well as making this an actually viable firearm to use in the modular range. I hope you enjoy it. Moving right along, I have a new prototype scene this week. This is very much unfinished. I realized I needed a sort of realist scene designed to be navigated around for experimenting with a bunch of different mechanic ideas. The big one that I focused on this week is in basically trying to think about a different way of using teleporting, as obviously H3VR has a whole bunch of two-handed weapons. And so if you're using one of those or just happening to be, dual wielding handguns, you don't have a spare hand to actually engage, say, the touchpad menu and to teleport. And I have preface this by I have no idea if this is a good or a bad idea at this point. I want you to play with it. I basically set up these sort of teleportation cubes around the space, and you teleport to the point by shooting it. So we shoot there, teleport there, teleport there. Got a new target to shoot. Boom. And so locomotion essentially becomes a firing and aiming challenge like anything else in the environment. Obviously, it's actually using a roundup in your weapon, so you have to plan for that based upon what you're carrying and when you're engaging targets, especially if you've, say, shot several times to move to a given position. Around this corner. And so the space, actually, amusingly enough, is actually a simplified rendition of my apartment, scaled out a little bit on the X and Z, so lined up with grid lines nicely. Pop into here. And so do try this out, popping around the environment. You'll also notice that there are a whole bunch of sorry, couldn't help myself. Around the scene. Man, flubbing my load here. Pop upstairs. And so, yeah, the whole point of this scene and its layout is to test just what it feels like rapidly teleporting around a fairly condensed and realistically scaled interior, being up against walls and peeking around, shooting at various targets, and using the gun for teleportation. Now, the standard teleport is still enabled on all of these surfaces. So if you'd like to run through the house in either manner of locomotion, just to see how it feels, either shooting the green blocks and using a standard teleport, I would love to know how you feel about them in comparison to each other. So yeah, give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Obviously, the destruction sort of physics are super, super rough. They're really thrown together. So certain things like large boxes and some of the other sort of objects explode in ways they shouldn't. I'm going to be focusing really heavily this next week on my ballistics model, actually encoding various sorts of damage and penetration capabilities to the different rounds. As right now, a bullet is a bullet is a bullet in this current system, and it makes certain sorts of things ridiculous. Like, say, that table there can't be shot through regardless of what firearm you're using at the moment, but that's going to change soon. So yeah, hope y'all have fun this week, running through my apartment, training yourselves to shoot me. See you next week. Peace.